Sometimes I come in here and I've got the energy to do 3 days work in a day.
Working for your own self, you motivate yourself because you want, the more you work, you know, the better it is for you.
Some days I come in here and I just don't peek and I don't care and I just turn around and walk out. I can close the door and just leave it alone, and then the next day I know I'll be okay.
You control your own destiny.
That's funny.
This is where it begins. And whether you start in a garage, a game room, or a vacant office building, this is where the journey starts. Hi, I'm Tom O'Malia, Director of the Entrepreneur Program at the University of Southern California, and welcome to Today we're going to explore business plans and the importance of designing and communicating clearly your business strategy. What is a business plan? The business plan is probably the most known document inside of entrepreneurship. We're going to position it as an invitation to get others to be interested in being involved with your company. Then we're going to talk about writing the business plan. What goes in? What are the components? How do we position it for success? How do we make sure that somebody's really going to read it and get excited? To someone who's read thousands of business plans, I'm going to tell you a very simple yardstick that I use. When you write your business plan, I want it to answer 3 questions. Why you? Why now? Why me? Why you? Why are you the person that's going to launch this business? What's your background? What's your industry experience? Is this your first entrepreneurial venture? What have you done to show me that you've prepared for this? Why do you have the right to say, I can launch this business? Why now? Is this a business whose time has come? Or are you 2 years behind the trend? Is this a business that won't happen for 10 years because of technology? Why should this business be launched today?
There's probably 3 paragraphs that were absolutely essential. That was the ultimate vision of what this company could do and the tactical, like, here's what we're going to do that's going to get us into the market very quickly.
And why me? Why am I reading this plan? What is it that you hope to get from me? Am I a mentor helping you? Am I a customer? Am I a money source? Am I an associate? Why me? The business plan is a money tool. Investors want to know how you think. Have you clearly articulated your concept and your strategy in written form? Before you even get to see an investor, they're going to want to see and read your business plan. Business plans are not about showing up, making a presentation, putting on high sizzle, looking for reaction, adjusting, and trying to sell something. That's not the way it works. Business plans are about your articulation of your concept. And if you cannot articulate your concept in the way that you're going to enter this industry, you're not even going to get a chance to see an investor.
I think when you look at business planning, when you're starting a company, it's very important to set out on paper exactly what your objectives are, what the strategic focus for your business, and how you think you're going to get there. For one, nobody's going to give you any money unless you have a business plan that's well thought out.
The business plan is also a strategic tool. It's the basis of your organization. Your sales strategy will become your sales plan. Your benefit development strategy will become your products and services. Your operational plan will be the basis by which you operate. Your financial plan will become your funding. You need this document not only for the external use of investors. You need a business plan to make sure you know where internally your company's headed. The business plan is a communication tool. It is your statement of your vision for this company. And that might be the most important statement that you, the entrepreneur, will ever make. In the external business plan, the money tool, you told the investors about your business, your concept, and your strategy for execution. In the internal version of the business plan, you built the strategies for starting this company. Those two combined form a document that you will share with future associates, with the talent that you need. It will be the thing that tells them, this is what this company's about, and this is the vision of this entrepreneur, and this is why I should join this team. Let me give you some words to the wise. Business plans need to be concise. If you take 100 pages to talk about your concept in your industry and how you're going to execute, you're not going to hold anybody's attention. It says you're not focused. You're writing a novel. You're insecure. You haven't done enough work. Be concise. Be specific. Don't use pronouns. Don't talk about he said, she said. Don't say that company. If you have talked to someone that's a credible source, say that the XYZ company told me that their needs in the future are going to be this number of dollars. Be very specific. It shows credibility. It's important that your description of your benefits be readable. I've read too many business plans that have just gone right into the pile, that have talked about bits and bytes and DNA splicing and genetic terminology and take large sections of the plan. I don't want to be impressed. I want to understand. They've got to be readable. Keep them in layman terms. If you impress me but I don't understand, you're not getting invited. The business plan has got to be realistic. This is a single elimination tournament. If your numbers look like hype, you're going to be eliminated. And if there's something in your past, if you've made a mistake, don't let the reader find out when they get to due diligence. It's no good to win the battle and lose the war. Be upfront. If there's something that you need to share with that investor, do it. You've learned from it. If they don't want to invest in you because of that, move on. There's other investors. It's the time for the reality check. The sections of the business plan have to be proportionate. If you get a business plan that's got a long financial section and very little bit about the customer, what it says is, I'm a money guy, but I really don't know how to deliver benefit. Or it talks about the technology, but doesn't tell me anything about the team. All of the bases have got to be touched, and all equally. When you get the meeting, they'll explore the areas they want to in the order they want to do it. So it's time to write the business plan. It's time to take everything we know and put it all together and share it with the world. Now let's remember two things. One, we're going to write the business plan for the next stage of our company. So if you're a company that's just starting out, your goal is to get someone to invest in you as you're getting to first customer stage. Or if you're an existing company about to expand into multiple products, you're really writing a plan about the next stage, highlighting your accomplishments, but focusing on a goal. Number two, you've got to get my attention. And nothing's going to get my attention more than showing me your accomplishments, the accomplishments that you've made to date. Business plans that show that you have worked hard on ideas, have defined concepts, have developed strategies, have looked at the finance to execute them, and have already started to do things. So let's get into the components of the business plan. And the first component is the executive summary. And even though it's first, listen carefully to my words, you're going to write it last. What you're going to put up here are a listing of the components of the plan. In the executive summary, we're going to do a directory and a highlight. We're going to hit the highlights of the customer, of the benefit, of the finance. So I want you to take a plain sheet of paper out, and I want you to tell me your targets. When you're done, these are the things that all the other sections are going to do. Then after you've written the other sections, you're going to come back here, and you're going to be able to say, this is my summary, and the words will now flow.
I think a very concise 1 to 2 page executive summary is very, very important. I mean, a lot of times that's all that's going to get read, and that's critical. And that should really be your best efforts selling tool. You know, and the investor wants to know, you know, what is the idea? How is it unique in the marketplace? Who's doing this? The management team. How much money do you need in order to execute it? And if I give you that money, what's it going to look like for me? And that's really what the executive summary is about.
There are no fixed set of components inside of a business plan. Everyone's going to do it their own way. Some will tell you there are 12 parts of the business plan. Others will say 6. Some will say 9. It's up to you to articulate what you think is important. Don't fall into the trap of a formula. I have one that I use that I've not seen elsewhere. I have found it to be very helpful for both the writer and the reader. It's a simple one-page document. It's a concept statement. And we've built a lot of our journey on a concept. And what I suggest that you do is do a one-paragraph concept statement, very short, 25, 30 words. And then you take one paragraph to define your customer, a second paragraph to define your sales and distribution channels, and a third paragraph to define your benefit and its values. This is a clear-cut, simple blueprint, so that if at any time during the meeting or if at any time during the reading that person reading the plan is at all confused, you say, let me help you. Let's go back to my concept. This is what I'm interested in. A one-page concept statement following the executive summary. So let's start to explore the body of the business plan. And let's start with the statement of management. If we're about execution, what could be more important than the people that are going to execute? So I immediately put in a section that says, this is the entrepreneur, this is the team, these are the people that are going to get it done. The next section deals with the customer market. And again, everyone has their own preference on what should be in this section. I want to be able to identify your customer. I want you, in the 3 to 5 pages that you dedicate to this section, paint a picture that I can tell not only the type of companies, but even closer, that you understand deep into that company to how decisions are made, that you really have done your homework. You know who's going to say yes or no. What I don't want to see is the marketplace. I want to see your customer, and I want that customer to position himself inside of a niche. And the niche is what you're going to exploit. The next section deals with the sales channels and their cost. I want to see why you've chosen the channels that you have. If you know your customer and their niche, then you should tell me how you're going to get to that customer. Is it direct sales? Is it direct mail? Is it direct mail followed by direct sales? When I read this, I want to understand that the people that are drawing this strategy know how to reach these customers. They know what's going to work. And they also know the cost of it. Of all the parts of the business plan that cause me to stop reading, it almost always is the benefits section. For 2 reasons. It's usually very, very long, which tells me that somebody's in love with their product. There's no proportion between what they're doing and their interest in selling it. They're looking for more money to enjoy their pastime of building this widget, and it scares me. Number 2, they really don't talk about the benefit needs of the customer. Now, I know you're saying we just did the customer. No. These are interrelated. I want to be able to see in the benefits section that the customer value needs are clearly identified. And if I see those, I say, someone really understands.
The Earthlink business plan was a 15-page document that talked about what the internet was, because nobody knew. It talked about this process of connecting and how you do that. And it talked about this company that would make connecting to the internet easy for millions of people who are going to join the internet in the coming years.
The organizational plan is the next part of the business plan. There's an army being built here, and whether it's 3 people, 30 people, or 300 people, that's what's going to execute this business plan. So I want to see how you think about that. I want to see the people that are already there with a short little paragraph telling me what it is that they do to add value to this company. Now remember, you're writing this for the next stage, so you may not have filled those positions. You may be looking to the investor to put up the money to be able to go out and hire those people. That's acceptable. If I'm the investor and if my money's going into people, I want to see those positions. I want to understand what they do and why they're important. To me, the organization plan that shows the Genesis team growing is an important part of the business plan.
The organization at Earthlink in the beginning is surprisingly similar to the organization today. It's just that the positions weren't filled. The org chart was there. The positions were named. They were just empty. So as we grew, it was more a matter of filling existing positions than inventing new areas.
The financial section is probably the most misunderstood part of the business plan. It's not about numbers. I want to read words. I want to read words that convince me that you know how much money you need and that the money is going to be used in the way that it should, that it's going into benefit development, that it's going into sales channels, that it's not going into a fat salary, that it's not going into excess people, that you're lean and mean and you are executing this stage of the concept. I want to see that you have built a model, something that you've been able to do that you can expand and replicate. I want to see that the dollars are going in the direction that they should. I'm not interested in the detail at this point. The last section that I put in the body portion of the business plan deals with growth. It's the growth plan. I want just a little bit of spice that tells me that this industry is going this way, the market size is going this way, and the niche that I'm competing in is going this way. Because one of the last things the investor is going to say, if he likes the people, if he sees the work that's being done, he's going to say, is this a big enough niche? I don't want to invest in something that's only going to grow to $20 or $30 million.
Is this a strategy of a big fish in a small market or a small fish in a big market? Small fish in a big market is better because you've got a lot of potential from a growth standpoint. Big fish in a small market means your potential is capped, and that's not going to be as exciting for a venture investment.
So a little bit of the future, without numbers, just talking about generalities, is a good way to conclude the body of your business plan. There are many things that are of importance to an investor that don't fit in the body. And you're going to make a decision. You may carry them to the meeting if you get invited, but I want to make sure that everything that you've got to say is at least represented there. So I'm going to suggest to you that we look at a very short appendices. And there are usually 5 things that I put in there, and they should not be more than 2 pages each. The first is that I want you to put together a timeline. I like to see a very simple 1-page graph that shows the actions that you're going to take starting today all the way out. The second thing I want to see is a competition grid. We did this way back in feasibility. And historically, we spent maybe a word or two inside of the body talking about our major competitors. But when you include a competition grid in the appendices, what you're really saying is, I know who I am going to compete with. The third thing I want to see is a pricing model. A pricing model will tell me at what price I'm going to sell my benefits. What is the value of the value I deliver? The fourth section is the market action to date. I like to see a little write-up and anything that you can add that shows me what you've already gone out and done. The final part that we're going to include are the resumes of the driving forces. We've already done the write-up in the management section, but if a 2-page resume is going to really spell out their educational background and their industry experience, this is the appropriate place to put it. Not up front, back here, inside of the appendices. So what you've done is you have completed all of the sections of a business plan. And you've done it in a very creative way. Now it's time to go back to the beginning. Look at the outline of the executive summary. Make sure you followed it. Make sure that each of the sections are proportionate, concise, and are truly selling the reality of where you are. And when all that is done, it's time to write the executive summary, which is a synopsis of each section. Make it a directory that leads people to want to read that section. No more than 3 pages. Summarize well, be articulate. Today we're going to pull it all together, showing you how money executes your concept. But first I have to ask you a very honest question. How many of you are sitting there saying, you know, when you talked about ideas, I understood, I can understand how I could do that. And then you talked about industry knowledge. Yeah, I got that. I could do that. I could do primary, secondary research. Concept definition? Sure. I can articulate. It might take me a while. I can do that. Finding ways to reach customers, defining customers, benefits? Yeah. But money. We're talking about money. How many of you are sitting there saying, I feel comfortable with money? Most entrepreneurs stop at this point. They get the idea. They screen the idea. They define the concept. They test the concept. And now it comes down to the final part, raising the bucks to get it going. And all of a sudden, everybody gets very uncertain about themselves. How do you know how much money you need, and where are you going to find it?
The initial money that I needed to start was $400.
$25,000.
Each of us put in about $6,000.
It became $2,000 and $3,000, and then it went up to like $50,000.
The general startup probably cost me right about $200.
I would say it was under $10,000.
And we found that we needed about $11,500. So, okay, we asked the partners, you guys want to put this money in? No one really wanted to put the money in because they already put time in.
So we put in our own money at first. And then from there, our private investors gave us a total of, I think it was $20,000.
To start our business, it took quite a bit of capital. I guess in relation to where we are today, it's not a whole lot, but it was everything we had and everything we can borrow. And we started the company with about $300,000.
So I went to my brother, and because he has some money kicking around, and he always said, you know what, Stefan, if you start a business, I want to be a part of it. So I said, okay.
2 family members loaned us the money.
I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to have parents that believed in what I was doing and had the capital and the cash situation to give me that kind of money.
I actually had anticipated that it would cost me about $60,000 to open the first store. When it was all said and done, it was probably about $85,000. So it was, even me having gone through an entrepreneurship program and knowing that I'd probably underestimate how much capital I needed, I still underestimated by 50% how much capital I would need.
If you don't have the money, you've got to choose a business that you can start without needing to bring in all this capital.
Now, as entrepreneurs, we have to accept the first rule of money. Money can only execute your concept. It cannot do anything else. It can't create it. It can't create a customer. It can't do anything else. You're going to have to do that. You remember the concept. You've got a customer, you've got a distribution channel to get to that customer, and you've got a benefit. You've done a lot of work. You've looked at hundreds of iterations. You are now down to a concept. And I can talk about money, but only against that concept. The opposite of this is some entrepreneur that walks up to me and says, Tom, how do I raise $1 million? The answer is, you never will. Why? Because they haven't placed it against a concept. An entrepreneur walks up to me and says, I've got a concept. I have a customer. Here it is. Here's my distribution channel. This is the benefit I want to get. I can sit there and say, let's talk about how much money you need and where you're going to get it. Because the money is being properly placed as an executor of the concept, not something that's its own goal. We're not in the business of raising money. We're in the business of starting businesses. And we have to have a defined concept before money makes any sense inside of our plan. And the business plan is the culmination of all your work, from the generation of the idea to the definition of the concept to testing under feasibility. Now you're prepared to go forward. And that's what the business plan is. It's the articulation of your strategies and tactics to launch this new venture. Then we went into writing the business plan. To attract additional interest, from associates to join you, to investors. We looked at the content. What were the things that we had to share? What were the things we needed to communicate? So as you begin to make these decisions, as you choose whether or not you will or will not be an entrepreneur, I'd like to leave you with some thoughts. Things to think about. Things to help you through. Recognize that entrepreneurship is about the creation of value. It's creativity. It's not about money. It's not about resources. It's not about having an arsenal. It's about you and your creativity, what you can see, what you can articulate, what you can take forward. And it's a journey of passion. You're going to do the thing you love to do, and that passion is going to carry you through. It's about focusing on your customer, the people that need you. It's not about being overwhelmed by a marketplace. You control it because you're going to pick the customers in the niche. And it's about benefit. And that's your secret. You know it's not about features. It's about the value that you create. Entrepreneurship is about tactics, about execution, about doing things. It's not about planning. It's about doing, but always with a strategic vision, always knowing where the end of the journey is. And entrepreneurship is about accepting failure, living under the umbrella of experimentation, and knowing that when failure occurs, it's an experience to learn from, not a reason to find someone to blame. And it's about teams. It's about complementary skills. It's about attracting the people that round out the package. It's about leading those people with a vision. And entrepreneurship is about managing risk. It's not about being foolhardy. It's not about taking risk. It's about deciding which risk, under which conditions, are acceptable to you, managing the risk. And finally, entrepreneurship is about accepting chaos, confusion, ambiguity, where the rules don't exist, where the procedures don't cover it, where you step outside the box to find the solution. Entrepreneurship is about you choosing your journey, and it's time for you to choose. I'm Tom O'Melia. Enjoy your journey.
I think being employed is a good thing. I think being self-employed, if you want to be self-employed, is great.
When you're an entrepreneur, it seems like you're at work earlier because you're working for yourself. You enjoy it more, and no one is putting a pressure on you.
We always have new things to work on, and there's never a problem that isn't available to solve or an opportunity to exploit.
If we've just done something great, I feel great. If we haven't done something so well, or if a customer is mad, you kind of change how you feel based on how people feel about you.
We take each, no as a challenge to get a yes. We take each door that's slammed in our face as a challenge to work harder to open it.
We're able to laugh and to joke through some of the hard times, knowing that we're going to get through. We have before, and this will pass, and we will make it to the next step.
There was a period of time of a few months or a year when I felt that I would never recover. My career would never be as exciting or as fun, and it turns out that it's about 3 times as exciting or fun as before.
When I signed the first paycheck, I said, I beat Tim now. I'm a boss.
Most importantly, the money doesn't matter.
I'm really living a lifestyle that I really enjoy and I'm very fulfilled at now. And, if you piled more money on it, I'd still be doing the same thing, I think. I wouldn't change much.
I would do this for free, to have the same feeling.